Should Osama bin Laden have been executed or arrested to face trial?
Yasmin Alaba-Brown.
He should have been taken. He was unarmed, we know that. If he'd been armed and posing a real danger, I can see the point of doing what happened. And I do understand those people who say at least they didn't throw bombs on an entire compound and so on. I think it demeans an exemplary democracy and an exemplary president with whom I fell a little in love when he was elected. He's shown himself to be the ugly American. This is not good. He should have faced a trial. We did it for the Nazis. We say this is what we believe in, the rule of law. He's degraded American democracy, and American democracy has been degrading itself, actually, through torture and rendition. So I'm really depressed about it.
Douglas Murray?
No, I couldn't disagree more. I'm elated by the death of Osama bin Laden. As I think any decent person should be. The issue of whether or not he was armed is, I mean, obviously Yasmin is an expert in these kind of operations, but if you are one of the military...
He wasn't
if you are one of them... If I can continue. If you're one of the military personnel in the compound in that situation, you don't know whether he's got a suicide vest. You don't know whether he's going to pull another bomb. And let's get on to the other issues. Firstly, this idea that he could be tried. How can you try Osama bin Laden? Where? When? How do you find a jury that doesn't have opinions about him? How do you find a judge? If anyone's been following the attempts to have a trial of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed in New York, it's proving to be a very, very difficult process, indeed very nearly an impossible one, which is why President Obama has now gone to a military tribunal for that. I think this doesn't demean America. It reminds people of who has been right in this conflict, who the victim is, and who the perpetrator is. Osama bin Laden did not allow any of the 3,000 people in New York and Washington on 9/11 any rights. He took away every single right that any of the people in those cars or their families had. He didn't grant any rights to the families or the victims of the 7/7 subway and bus bombings, which he inspired. It went on, and it's a good thing that the story has now finished.
It hasn't finished, Douglas.
All right. Wait a moment, everybody. Wait a moment. A lot of people want to speak, and we'll come to them in a moment.
I think apart from Douglas, you've all forgotten who were the victims. Those people went to work on 9/11 and 7/7 and they've lost their lives. And for Yasmin to compare the Osama bin Laden to the Nazis, you obviously don't know history, and you obviously don't know what it's like to have a victim, to be a child, to lose their parent. I was there. And I saw people lose their fathers and their mothers. And only Douglas is representing them. Only he is saying what all us feel, all us victims feel. We survived 9/11, and I survived 7/7, and I'm proud to say that only Douglas is representing the views of us victims here.
I've spent most of my early life fighting terrorism. I've lost friends. I've seen them die in front of me from terrorists. Please don't accuse me of being naive in this. I can just tell you that when you take force, you take it in support of the rule of law, not to overturn the rule of law.
If can I just address the issue of whether or not it was an arrest of it was military forces that were sent into that compound, and soldiers are trained to fight. And they're trained to shoot and to kill. And if this had been a police operation, then we would have sent police in. America would have sent police in. Pakistan would have sent some police into the building. But it was Osama bin Laden. They knew it wasn't a police operation. It was an army operation. And in an army operation like that, it's very likely that shooting is going to occur, as it did from both sides, apparently, and that somebody's going to get killed. But I just want this absurdity of all the time of treating people who have broken every single aspect of the rule of law, who then, when they're killed, suddenly all of these people come out and say the rule of law must be applied to Osama bin Laden. We have to remember who the victim is and who the perpetrator is in this.
There are a number of...
Unfortunately, he showed even less respect to all of those at 9/11 and elsewhere around the world. He didn't deserve any respect. He got what was coming to him.
Excuse me.
Yes, all right.
I'm sorry. We have to also remember that hundreds of thousands, nearly 1 million, other people also died. You can't just keep talking about 9/11, okay? Lots of people have paid a price for this. And the rules of war say, and Paddy can, I don't know, confirm or deny this, that even when people are killed in battle, their bodies are given to families to bury properly. This did not happen. Right. He's no friend of mine, but they should have done that.
That's ridiculous.
Are you saying that the body should have been given back to the Bin Laden family?
Which happens after wars. Bodies
How
are
would they
handed
find
back.
the rest of the Bin Laden family to give it to?
Yasmin, do you really think that course of action would have reduced the risk of further acts of terrorism?
If we say we are
would
more,
have been an absurd
if we say we are
step
more
to take.
civilized, then we have to act.
You
And
would
it's
have
difficult.
you would have been putting
It's
thousands
difficult.
of people's lives
What do you
at
think
risk
is going to
if
happen
that
now?
course of
People,
action had
A,
been
won't
taken.
believe he's dead. B, and the lady's completely right, this wasn't done according to proper rights. It will just set off another generation.
It was a respectful burial at sea.
How do you know that? You said we don't know anything. How do you know that?
Okay, the man in the pink shirt. Then I'm going to take another question, then we come back to the big one. Yes.
Yeah, I think Bin Laden's been let off the hook by this, actually. I think if he was actually brought to trial and had to face real advocacy with a rigorous court and a furious crowd outside, I think I know which one I'd rather have. I'd rather have a bullet rather than be subjected to that.
Okay.
Can I do the waterboarding?
Let's hear the waterboard. I'd like to hear the view of Douglas on waterboarding.
I wanted to say on this, I mean, President Bush, in his memoirs, said that he approved of the waterboarding of 3 known terrorists at Guantanamo in the aftermath of 9/11, one of them being the mastermind of that man I mentioned earlier, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. Now, there's no doubt about it. This has damaged America's view in the world. I have no doubt about that. I don't think any of you do. The extent of those so-called enhanced interrogation techniques has been massively exaggerated. But if it did provide this information, then there is obviously a moral question that arises from that. I just wanted to address the following. Yasmin says about, we must show, as it were, our principles. We must show that we're better than them. We are better than Al-Qaeda. We don't have to show that, Yasmin.
No, you do.
Hang on, Yasmin, just wait a second. But the point is what Yasmin is doing, and what many people are doing at the moment, is holding America and our allies to such a uniquely high standard that no society could ever live up to it. That even the worst enemy of a society has to be buried according to the customs that they would want. I can't raise it in me, Yasmin, to think that whether or not the customs around his burial were perfect in your eyes is the most important thing in the Bin Laden story.
Then you are as barbaric as them.
Well, we're not as barbaric
you are
as them.
as barbaric
Of
as
course
them.
we're not. What? Because we don't do the exact Islamic
And you
burial,
think
we're
you're
as
better,
barbaric.
you're no better.
It's as if we'd flown planes
You're
into
no
buildings.
better.
This is
You are
moral
no
relativism
better.
gone mad. It's worse than moral relativism. It's an inversion of morality.
You can't choose your morality. Bits. You can't choose bits of it.
Well, you do.
I don't.
You do,
I
and
live
you decide to apply moral norms to societies that you dislike, which you wouldn't apply to others.
I'm critical of all people who behave barbarically.
And some worse,
We are not
some more than
better.
others, yes.
No, it's
some
not
worse
true.
than others.